Tila mas tumibay pa umano ang ebidensya laban sa pamilya Duterte, ito nga ay matapos umanong magsalita ang dating kasambahay ng nasabing pamilya. Ayon umano sa dating kasambahay, alam daw niya ang lahat-lahat tungkol sa pamilya Duterte, hindi daw may kakaila na talagang matulungin ang mga Duterte at talagang tapat sa serbisyo. Inamin din ng dating kasambahay na saksi din umano siya kung paano minahal ni former President Rodrigo Duterte ang bansa. Samantala, nagsalita na din ang dating staff ni former President Rodrigo Duterte at ikinagulat nga ng lahat ang inamin nito sa madla. Narito, panoorin ang video.
Ay, Enda, okay lang po ba? Magandang gabi na po sa inyo, Nanay Enda. Maaari po ba ninyong sabihin ang inyong buong pangalan tapos tirahan dito po sa Quadcom?
Magandang araw po sa lahat. At lubos po kaming nagpapasalamat sa House of Representatives na kami po ay binigyan ng pagkakataon na matugunan ang aming hinaing upang mabigyan ng katarungan ang pagpatay sa aking mga anak. Magandang araw po sa lahat. Ako po si Rosenda Limeta, taga-Barangay Kalayo, Nasugbu, Batangas. Ina ni Chay Ibanghilista at biyanan ni Ariel Ibanghilista. Silang mag-asawa ay biktima ng Badugong Raid noong ika-7 ng Marso 2021 na mas kilala bilang Bloody Sunday Massacre o Coplan Asbal. Ang anokon si Chay ay miyembro ng ugnayan ng mamamayan laban sa pangwasak ng kalupaan at kalikasan ng Hacienda Looc o Umalpasca. Habang ang asawa niya ay mangingisda sa Kalayo, Nasugbu, Batangas. Sila ay mga kilalang organisador na inalay ang kanilang buong panahon para pagsilbihan ang masang api lalo sa Hacienda Looc. Ang mga mamayan po ng Hacienda Looc ay mayabong na ang kasaysayan ng pakikibaka upang itaguyod ang kanilang mga karapatan sa lupa laban sa mga serye ng mga land grabber na nagdulot ng malalang dilubyo sa komunidad. Malaki po ang naging papel ni Chay at Ariel para tulungan ang buong komunidad sa pagharap ng dilubyo na ito. Si Chay at si Ariel ay mga organisador ng Umalpasca upang ipaglaban ang karapatan ng mga mangingisda sa kanilang kahanapbuhay at mga magsasaka sa lupa. Nanguna sila sa iba't ibang pagkilos tulad ng mga barikada, protest rally, at dialogue sa mga ahensya ng gobyerno. Sa kabila ng mga hirap at banta sa kanilang seguridad, patuloy nilang isinulong ang kanilang layunin. Noong Marso 7, 2021, mahigit kumulang sa 5:00 ng umaga, pumasok ang hindi bababa sa 5 pulis at militar sa bahay nila kung saan kasama nila ang 9 na tanggulang na anak nila. Nagising ang pamilya, pinadapa si Ariel at nilagyan ng posas. Pagkatapos kinaladkad ng mga pulis at militar si Ariel papunta sa kabilang bahay na nakita ng aking anak at kapatid ni Chay. Naiulat din ng mga kapitbahay na marami ang nakabantay na PNP at AFP sa compound ni Chay at Ariel. At hindi pilit na hindi pinapalabas ang mga residente sa kanilang mga bahay. Lumabas si Chay, humihingi ng saklolo habang sumisigaw ng tulong mga may sundalo. Pagkatapos nito ay kinaladkad din si Chay papunta sa bahay kung nasaan si Ariel. Pagdating ni Chay sa bahay, nakarinig ng halos 10 gunshots ang mga kapitbahay. Nakita ng aking apo, kanilang 10 taong gulang na anak, na pinatayo sa pader ang kanyang magulang at kinuhanan ng picture. Binaril at dugoan sa kabilang bahay. 6:00 ng umaga noong dumating ang search warrant kasama ang pagdating ng Soko at iba pang pulis. Sobrang sakit at bigat para sa aking pamilya na mula pa lamang sa Siyandolook, bat-bat na kami ng mga harassment. Ang anak kong si Eliza Dimeta ay inaresto noong 2014 at sinampahan ng gawagang kaso ng anti-terror law. Hanggang ngayon hinahabulan pa rin siya ng gawang-gawang kaso ng terrorism financing at itong ang kay Chay po ang pinakamabigat na siya'y patayin kasama ang kanyang asawa na si Ariel. Kaya kami po ay humihingi dito sa Quadcom na baka po sila ang makakatulong sa amin na magkaroon ng hustisya ang pagpatay sa aking mga anak na ipinagkait ng Department of Justice. Sa kabila ng kami po ay may supporting documents na sa investigasyon na ginawa ng NBI at CHR na nilabag ang karapatang mabuhay sila. Kaya sa araw na ito, pwede po bang ipakita ko sa inyo ang picture ng mga anak ko, Mr. Chair? At sa araw na ito at sa bawat araw na darating, hindi kami titigil sa panawagan ng hustisya para sa aking mga anak na si Chay at Ariel. At para sa lahat ng biktima ng extrajudicial killings sa ilalim ng administrasyong Rodrigo Duterte. Hanggat may nananawagan, hanggat may lumalaban, hindi kailan magtatagumpay ang panunupil at pagkitil ng buhay. Maraming salamat po at sana po makamit po namin ang tamang hustisya para po sa mga anak namin at para na rin po sa mga iba pang biktima ng extrajudicial killings. Maraming pong salamat.
Salamat po.
Thank you,
Yes,
Mr. Chair.
please proceed, Congresswoman Bros.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Tatanungin ko lang si Nanay Enda ng ilang mga katanungan, Mr. Chair. Nanay Enda, kamusta po si Raymark ngayon? Yung mga anak, ay, di ba, yung isang anak, no, na kamusta siya kasi siya ang nakakita ng pangyayari.
Sa ngayon po, nasa trauma pa rin po ang bata na kapag po pinag-uusapan ang kanyang magulang, nadagalit po siya kay Presidente Rodrigo Duterte dahil yung po raw ang may kasalanan sa pagkamatay ng kanyang mga magulang.
Kasi dumulog po kayo dito sa Quadcom, di ba? Ibig sabihin, ano po yung nangyari kung nagkaroon ng kaso, saan nyo ito dinulog, saan-saan kayo nagpunta para dito sa paghahanap ng hustisya sa inyong anak?
File po kami ng kaso sa Department of Justice at sa DOJ po at naka-enclose po doon ang investigasyon ng National Bureau of Investigation, DID, at ang investigasyon po din ng Commission on Human Rights.
Ano pong nangyari dun sa kaso na dinulog ninyo?
Kasamang palad po, na-dismiss po yung kaso namin.
So, bakit po kayo ngayon nandito sa Quadcom?
Kami po ay humihingi dito sa Quadcom na baka po sila ang makakatulong sa amin na magkaroon ng hustisya ang pagpatay sa aking mga anak na ipinagkait po ng Department of Justice.
Thank you, Nanay Enda. Nanay Enda, siguro yung next question ko dun siguro sa legal counsel, no, ng mga biktima ng EJK, whether drug-related or activist-related. Familiar po dito si Attorney Chrissy Conti. Attorney Chrissy, baka pwedeng, ano yung masasabi ninyo dito sa mga modus operandi? Gusto ko kasing malaman ano yung connection ng parang war on drugs ito, pero war on dissent din, di ba? Ganyan yung itsura, Mr. Chair. So, what can you say about the modus operandi of this EJ case committed by state forces? And I believe yun din yung problema ng kay Mr. Britannico, no? Na state forces and parang may impunity na nangyari habang sila ay nasa posisyon, Mr. Chair. So I would like to ask the opinion of Attorney Cristina Conti.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. As I shared in one of the previous sessions of the Quadcom, there are generally 3 steps in this campaign. First, vilification. You identify an enemy. In the case of drugs, they would say that these people are connected to the drug trade. In the case of activists, they would say that these are communists and therefore terrorists, criminals. After that, the operation would be conducted by possibly police officers or agents of state agents. The circumstances are similar, actually, in both drug-related killings and in activist killings. Nanlaban is a common narrative where planting of evidence or of drugs is common. Second, the killings would be conducted under the cloak of night, under the cloak of darkness, and they would ensure that there are no witnesses to the killings. However, I mean, openly, it would be as brazen as possible, meaning there would be others surrounding the location, but separated from the incident, or ilalayo po ng konti yung posibleng maging witness, pero malapit pa rin para ikakatakot ng lahat. At pangatlo, the third step would be absolution, either poor or no investigation at all into the killings. And in both cases of the Britannico murder and in the case of the Bloody Sunday murders, that's obvious. The cases are stalled. And in the case of Britannico, even if there are charges already pending, hindi nga po nila mahuli yung may kasalanan. Lalo na po dito, yung police, active duty pa rin.
Thank you, Attorney. Attorney, para kasing series of operations conducted, tas mass application, issuance of search warrants. Itong Bloody Sunday, prior to the operations, 42 out of 63 search warrant applications in Manila RTC were granted. Ito po yung kanina na introduction ko ng speech, kaugnay dito sa Bloody Sunday. Tapos, meanwhile, 4 out of 9 search warrant applications were also granted in our Antipolo RTC. How is this possible? What is the process involved para kasing mass manufacturing of search warrants, no? Seemingly, merong search warrant factory, Mr. Chair. So, yun po yung tanong ko. Siguro, baka pwede rin tayong magtanong kay sa legal counsel ng NUPL, si Attorney Julian Oliva.
Yes, Madam Chair. Actually, merong circular yung Supreme Court allowing the executive judges ng Quezon City and Manila to approve or issue search warrants applicable in the whole country, no? Ibig sabihin, kahit sa Mindanao i-apply i-execute yung search warrant, pwede niyang i-apply yan sa executive judges ng Quezon City, RTC, at o kaya ng Manila RTC. Ito nga yung ginamit. Nung nauso kasi, ang paborito nilang applyan ng search warrant dati ay yung executive judge ng Quezon City. Nung marami ng mga search warrant na in-issue nung executive judge ng Quezon City, bali at saka na baliktad dyan o in-invalidate yan ng mga korte, ang ginawa nilang sampahan ng search warrant ay yung executive judge ng Manila. Kaya doon sinampa yung napakaraming search warrant, application for search warrant. Sinabi nga, mahigit napakaraming sinampa sa executive judge ng Manila. Ang ginawa ng executive judge ng Manila, dinistribute to sa mga vice executive judge. Ang nangyari, sa napakaraming application for search warrant na sinampa, halos ilan lang yung mga witnesses, no? Pare-pareho yung sinasabi. Kaya may mga search warrant na dinismiss at saka may mga search warrant na inapprove, no, at na-issue. Parang ganun yung ginagawa ng para maging legalize yung gagawin nilang operation. Nag-a-apply muna sa search warrant, kumukuha ng mga bayarang witnesses o mga nagbibigay ng mga perjured testimony para mag-apply ng search warrant. Bali, ganun yung nangyari doon sa mga operations ng police.
Thank you,
Lalo
Chair.
na sa Bloody Sunday.
Mr.
Thank
Chair,
you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, if I may add. If I may
Yes,
add,
Attorney Chrissy would like to.
Yes,
Your Honor, as regards this policy, just in addition, Mr. Chair, I'd like to share that the issuance of a search warrant goes through the judge. Una po munang kukumbinsihin ng mga pulis yung judge na mag-issue ng search warrant at yung judge ay dapat aralin yung ebidensya na ipapakita sa kanya bago siya papayag o makukumbensing mag-issue ng search warrant. Ito pong 2 stages na ito, nagkakaroon po ng anomalya as was shared. We've had several cases where the warrants issued were eventually questioned and overturned. Meaning, yung sa sinasabi po ni Attorney Oliva na itong search warrant ang nagiging dahilan para pumasok nung bahay. If invalidated, the issuance of the search warrant, magiging fruit of the poisonous tree ang succeeding operation. Meaning, wala silang dahilan para pumasok at yung pagpatay ay clearly out of line, the implementation. Ang unang stage po niyan ay yung pagpapaniwala na merong ebidensya. At dyan laging sabit po ang pulis dahil nag-iimbento po sila ng mga kwento. Pangalawa, ang posible pong sumabit ay yung judge na hindi po nagtatanong ng tinatawag na searching or probing questions resulting in answers. Kaya dito naman po yung issue at concern namin kay Judge Villavert ng Quezon City.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Chair.
I remember, nakita ko po, Mr. Chair, before sa isang picture na nag-meeting si Debode Sinas at saka si Cecilia Villabert, Quezon City Executive Judge, just before this happened, nung itong mga sunod-sunod na pagpatay din, Mr. Chair. I don't know kung ano yung kanilang pinag-usapan, but then I've seen a picture of them together talking. Anyway, all of this transpired under the term of then PNP Chief Debode Sinas at yung former head of PNP CIDG Regional Field Unit in Region 4A, si Lito Patay. Familiar names, familiar faces, Mr. Chair. Kasi kung ano yung sa EJK, yun din yung sa war on drugs, ito rin yung sa war on dissent. So, what was their role in the mass application and approval of the search warrants that were used for conducting these bloody operations? So, tingin ko kailangan talaga natin, Mr. Chair, at the proper time ipatawag ang mga involved dito. And even siguro yung kakayanin natin na usapin dito sa issue ng mga search warrants by executive judges. Ano, Mr. Chair? But anyway, Mr. Chair, yung mismong tagapagpatupad ng war on drugs bilang PNP chief. Tapos yung Davao Boys na pinadala noon sa batasan, maraming namatay sa war on drugs nung panahon na yon. Involved din talaga sa pagpatay sa mga aktivista sa Bloody Sunday Massacre, Mr. Chair. Now, Mr. Chair, I would like to ask siguro si Dr. Fortun, kaugnay po sa case ni Chay, yung binabanggit po ng nanay ni Chay, si Nanay Enda, particular po sa kanilang, siguro yung records po ng findings, I believe kayo po yung tingin, no, sa bangkay ng namatay sa Bloody Sunday. Tama po ba?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I actually saw all 9, plus one more victim, actually Mr. Dan De Miguel. I would count him also among these deaths because he was the one facilitating the autopsies and then he himself was ambushed and killed within the same month. And so I have all the 10 cases, the records are with me now. And if you would have a particular
Yes, Mr. Chair. Papadescribe ko lang po sana, Doc, yung record ng findings on Chai and Ariel Evangelista, particularly yung, kasi ang sinabi po sa PNP autopsy, they just said cause of death was gunshot wounds to the body. Ganun po kasimple ang sinabi. Ano pong masasabi ninyo doon sa ganong ang cause of death lang ay ganito?
I found the spouses, Ariel Evangelista and Ana Maria Evangelista, as, the bodies were examined, previously examined. I would not count that as an autopsy because in both of them, there was just an anterior midline incision of the trunk. There was partial internal examination. Anyway, since I saw the bodies, typically they sustained gunshot wounds, then the first thing I would do is ask for x-rays. So they underwent x-rays in PJH. So I have those. I was able to recover some bullets, which eventually I turned over to NBI because they asked for them. Both cases had multiple gunshot wounds. For Mr. Ariel Evangelista, I identified 2 in the chest. And then there were gunshot wounds to the right upper extremity, right arm. And this is what I was saying earlier about consistency with defense injuries. Same with Ana Maria Evangelista. She sustained, I believe, at least 2 gunshot wounds to the chest, another one in the abdomen, and then also gunshot wounds to the upper extremities, which would again be consistent with defense type injuries. So in a nutshell, those are the summaries, but I have all the documentation, the pictures, the diagrams for all of these cases.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Doc, meron pa akong tanong. Pag sinabing COD, ano naman yung MOD? Doc, doon sa
cause of death answers the question of why person died, and this would be the injuries. It's not just a matter of like what PNP typically does is they just zero in on cause of death. And then if they say multiple gunshot wounds to the trunk, that is not what forensic pathology is all about. We go beyond that. Like for instance, of all the injuries, which is most fatal, can you say possible sequence? Can you, as I mentioned earlier, can you reconstruct how they were shot? And so on. What are the internal injuries? So you got shot in the chest. What did the bullets hit? When you say manner of death, this refers to how the person was killed. And the most common would be natural causes, which is due to disease. So whatever is not due to disease, like there's violence, this is unnatural. And in this case, I classify them as homicide because that is as far as we would go. You might say this is murder, but that is a legal term. But we do not use murder. In the death certificate, it's just homicide, meaning death was due to the action or actions of another person or other people.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Another question po doon sa binanggit nyo kanina yung gunshot, diba, na sa findings po sa gunshot residue sa GSR, kina Chai at Ariel. For the record, Mr. Chair, merong 2 conflicting chemistry reports. Ayon sa AO35, SIT, una, both hands ni Chai ang positive, tas negative for Ariel. Yung pangalawang chem report, baliktad, yung kamay ni Ariel, daw ni Ariel, ang positive at yung kay Chai ang negative. In your experience, Doc, no, what could have happened? Bakit may mga ganitong conflicting results?
Since the supposed gunshot residues were done in the Philippines, I am guessing these are what you would call the paraffin tests, which is actually a very outdated test. Originally, it started in 1931. As early as the 1960s, the international community decided it does not distinguish a shooter from a non-shooter, and therefore it is junk. But still, the Philippines in the 21st century, our police still insist on the paraffin test. If they say this is positive or negative, one major drawback of this test is it is not even reproducible. You cannot even document the positivity or negativity because it's supposed to be a very subjective color change. So nobody else in the world with forensic science, updated forensic science, uses the paraffin test. Only in the Philippines.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So inconclusive ito.
Definitely inconclusive.
Kaya po ba nating malaman kung sino yung perpetrator sa isang killing? Tapos ano yung mga paraan para ma-determine yung identity of the perpetrator?
Listening in on the painful Britannico case earlier and that of Mr. Mueller, I was thinking that, each shooting leaves a wealth of physical evidence. And but unfortunately in the Philippines, that is not pursued. We do not have a real CSI. Every fired gun would leaves a lot of physical evidence. Like for instance, at the scene, if you have a semi-automatic pistol, the casing would be left there. And then the bullet would pass through objects, including the body, and it would leave a track or wounds in the body. If it stays in the body, does not exit, it has to be recovered. If it exits, it impacts another location. And you have to identify, recover it. If a body is hit and you're still alive when you're shot, not dead, then you have blood spatter, and that can also be analyzed. And then all those things, even tire track marks, fingerprints, and so on, there are ways to identify people, to connect shooting with a particular gun, with a particular shooter. But this is physical evidence. And again, in the Philippines, we hardly consider physical evidence, and that's why we have to resort to statements. And there are weaknesses in statements, but physical evidence is subjective. There's science in it.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Siguro, Mr. Chair, ibigay ko na kay Kong Raul yung pag-question naman sa next witness na kasama natin dito, si Ms. Lizelle Asuncion. Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Congresswoman Brosas. Yes, you have 10 minutes, Congressman Raul Manuel.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Magandang gabi po sa lahat. Since meron din po tayong isa pang kamag-anak ng naging biktima din po ng Bloody Sunday Massacre, I will direct first my series of questions sa kanya. Mr. Chair, we have here si Ms. Lizelle Asuncion. Magandang gabi po.
Yes po, magandang gabi po sa lahat. Ako po si Lizelle Asuncion, ang ulilang asawa ni Manuel Asuncion at 50 taong gulang.
Mr. Chair, kayo po ang muli po asawa ni Emmanuel o ni Manny Asuncion?
Yes po, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, saan po kayo nakatira?
Sa Rosario, Cavite po, Mr. Chair.
Tama po ba na nangyari po ang pagpatay kay Manny Asuncion noong March 7, 2021?
Yes po, Mr. Chair.
Kayo po, Ma'am Lizelle, nasaan po kayo noong araw na iyon?
Mr. Chair, nasa Workers Assistance Center po kami or WAC Satellite Office po na matatagpuan po sa Block 2, Lot 5, Lawrenceville Subdivision sa Dasmariñas, Cavite po.
Bakit po kayo nasa lugar na iyon po ba ay bahay po ninyo? Doon po talaga kayo nakatira?
Hindi po, Mr. Chair.
So bakit po nandoon po kayo sa Workers Assistance Center?
Doon po kami tumutuloy noon dahil nag-aayos po kami ng relief operations dahil panahon po yun ng pandemya. At naghahanda rin po kami noon para sa papalapit na International Working Women's Day sa March 8 po.
Tama po ba na yung nangyari ay ito po March 7, madaling araw? Tama po ba?
Yes po, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, maaari po bang ilahad mula po sa perspective ni Ma'am Lizelle, ano po ang nangyari noong madaling araw ng March 7, 2021?
Yes po, Mr. Chair, nakaupo po kami noon sa gilid ng higaan ng foam. Nakalatag po siya sa sahig. Niyakap ako para protektahan ako at saka po pumasok ang mga kapulisan. Sumisigaw po sila na dapa-dapa. Nakita ko po na nakaupo, naka-uniforme po sila at may mga baril po sila. Naka-camouflage po. At may mga patches ng PNP Rizal at PNP Laguna po yung kanilang mga damit. Sila po ay naka-ski mask po. Pero saan po nilang binuksan yung gate at pinto ng office namin. Pagkatapos po, hinadyakan po nila yung pintuan namin sa second floor.
Mr. Chair, bago po tayo magpatuloy, gusto ko pong makumpirma mula kay Ms. Lizelle. Nabanggit po ninyo na may nakita kayong patch ng PNP Rizal at PNP Laguna doon po sa suot ng mga pulis na lumusob sa Workers Assistance Center. Tama po ba yun?
Yes po, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, sa pagkakaalala po ni Ma'am Lizelle, ilan po yung mga pumasok sa kwarto kung nasaan po kayo ni Manny Asuncion?
Mr. Chair, 6 po sila at marami pa pong iba sa pasilyo. Lahat po sila ay nakasuot ng ski mask o bonnet, kaya po matalang po yung kita.
Ibig sabihin po, Ma'am Lizelle, kung kakayanin po nating makapagpatuloy, nabanggit po ninyo merong 6 na pumasok. Ibig sabihin po, dahil may takip yung mga muka,
Yes po,
wala
Mr.
po ni isa na nakita po ninyo yung mga muka nila.
Wala po.
Pero sigurado po kayo doon sa nakita ninyong patch ng PNP sa kanilang mga suot.
Yes po, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, liban sa nakita ninyo na merong patch ng PNP Rizal at PNP Laguna, meron pa po ba kayong ibang nakitang identifier o parang kakaiba sa kanilang mga suot?
Yes po, Mr. Chair.
Ano po iyon, Ma'am Lizelle? Halimbawa po sa kanila po bang, yung mga nameplate po ba nila? Kita po ba yung
Hindi
nameplate?
po, Mr. Chair, nakatakip po yung kanilang nameplate. May isa pong lalaki na galit po doon. Gusto na pong barilin si Manny.
So Mr. Chair, lahat po sila, yung mga nameplate po nila ay may takip po yun lahat.
Yes po, Mr. Chair.
Ano po yung nakalagay na takip?
Wala po yung nakaano po dito, sa nameplate po nila.
Mr. Chair, pagkatapos kayong padapain, ano pa yung ginawa ng mga pulis na pumasok sa kwarto?
Habang po pinadadapa po kami, si Manny po ay nakita kong nakadapa po siya sa may hagdan, habang ako naman po ay kinaladkad ng 4 na pulis pababa sa kusina. Bago hinila pababa, nakita ko pong duguan na nakatutok ang baril sa likod niya. Habang kinakaladkad po ako at narinig ko po yung sigaw ni Manny. Mga tao rin po kami.
Mr. Chair, sa usapin naman po ng search warrant, nagtanong din po ba kayo o si Manny Asuncion kung merong search warrant na dala o pinakita yung mga pulis?
Opo.
Tapos yun, meron po ba silang nilabas o pinakita ang search warrant?
Wala po, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, pagkatapos ng mga nangyari so far na pinadapa tapos kinaladkad din si Manny Asuncion. Saan po kayo nun dinala ng pulis?
Inilabas po nila ako sa bahay. Nakarinig na po ako ng putok mula sa itaas kung saan naiwan po si Manny, Mr. Chair. Napapikit na lang po ako sa sarili ko at sinasabi ko pong pinatay na po nila ang aking asawa.
Paano po ninyo nasabi na nung narinig po ninyo yung mga putok ng baril ay yun po ninyo yun na yung signal na napatay na po si Manny Asuncion?
Yes po, Mr. Chair, kasi po nakita ko mismo na walang kalaban-laban si Manny sa mga pulis. Kasi po, mataba po siya at hindi na ganong kaliksi. Hindi niya kayang lumaban o tumakas po. Naka-restrain po talaga si Manny at marami yung mga pulis na nakatutok ang baril sa kanya.
Mr. Chair, tanong po natin kay Ms. Lizelle, nung panahon po ba na iyon, armado po ba si Manny Asuncion?
Hindi po, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, meron po bang pinagmamay-ari ang armas si Manny Asuncion?
Wala po, Mr. Chair.
Sa buong pagkakakilala po ninyo, ay meron po bang pagkakataon na nagmay-ari po ng baril o kahit anong armas si Manny Asuncion?
Wala po, Mr. Chair. Halos hindi na po kami makabili ng bigas o mga kailanganin po namin. Kaya po hindi po ganun tipong bibili si Manny na may-ari ng baril.
Mr. Chair, matanong na lang din po natin kay Ma'am Lizelle. Kayo po, Ma'am Lizelle, meron din po ba kayong pinagmamay-ari ang armas o baril?
Wala po, Mr. Chair.
Sa buong buhay po ninyo, may pagkakataon po ba na kayo din ay nagmay-ari ng armas?
Wala po. Hindi po, Mr. Chair.
Kailan na po yung parang, siguro kung may pagkakataon po na nakalapit po kayo sa kahit anong armas, may ganun po bang pagkakataon sa buhay ninyo?
Mr. Chair, sa totoo lang po, nung unang dinumog kami ng mga pulis, first time ko po makakita ng mga baril sa malapitan po.
Mr. Chair, kung babalik po doon sa naging insidente, may nakita po ba kayong kakaiba sa mga pulis na involved din sa insidente?
Yes po, Mr. Chair. Yun ko pong sinasabi nung una. May isang maliit na pulis, nagigil po, napatayin si Manny. Sa kwarto pa lang po, halos kalapitin niya na yung gatilyo. Yung kamay, yung daliri nakasuot po sa trigil. Baril po. Pasensya na po, Mr. Chair. Hanggang ngayon, sobrang trauma po ako pag nakakita po ng pulis.
Sige, Mr. Chair, sa punto pong ito, naunawaan po natin ang nararamdaman po ni Ms. Lizelle Asuncion na hindi po natin ninanais na parang ma-relieve po sa kanya yung insidente. Kaya at this point, Mr. Chair, I would redirect my questions muna sa iba pa nating resource persons regarding the details habang bibigyan po natin ng time si Ms. Lizelle Asuncion po na po muna ma-regain po yung kanyang
Sige, okay.
composure.
You have 3 more minutes,
Thank you.
Congressman Raul.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, dahil nandito po ang Human Rights Organization na Karapatan with Ms. Christina Palabay. Mr. Chair, gusto po nating malaman, ito pong nangyaring pagpatay po kay Manny Asuncion tsaka doon po sa couple na nabanggitin po kanina, meron din po bang iba pang mga instances na kung saan may mga operations na nasa ilalim ng command responsibility ni Debold Sinas tsaka ni Lito Patay na nagdulot din ng mga patayan sa ating mga kababayan?
Magandang gabi po, Mr. Chair. Sa totoo lang po, una po naming narinig ang pangalan ni Colonel Lito Patay dito po sa Batasan. Dahil napakarami po kaming naiulat sa amin na mga pagpatay dito. Pangalawa, yung pangalan ni Colonel Patay and ni General Sinas nung nagkasama sila sa PRO 7,
Doon po, kumbaga tail end na lang yung Bloody Sunday Massacre. Doon po, maraming naganap na pagpatay, lalo na po sa Negros. No? Doon po nilaunch yung Sauron 1. 6 na tao po ang pinatay, mga magsasaka. Doon po sa Negros, 31 ang arbitrarily arrested. No? Naganap po ang sumunod noong 2019, Oplan Sauron 2, 14 ang pinatay. On a single day po ito on a single day. So these are ang tawag po nila dito, Mr. Chair, yung Synchronized Enhanced Management Police Operations or SEMPO. Supposedly, it's anti-criminality, but it targeted also, and it had farm workers, farmer leaders, activists killed in the process. Sumunod na po yung pagpatay sa mga NDFP consultants. Magkasama na rin po si Colonel Patay, dito lang po sa Metro Manila, nasa CIDG Region 4A, si Colonel Patay, habang si General Sinas, ang NCRPO Regional Director at PNP Chief, nung naganap yung pagpatay doon po sa dalawang elderly couple, no, doon po sa Rizal, na police operations din po. Sumunod naman po yung tumandok, no? Isang araw din po, na tumandok leaders po doon po sa Iloilo, ang pinatay, 16 arbitrarily arrested. And then, the Bloody Sunday Massacre. 9 killed in one day, 5 to 7 people were arbitrarily arrested.
Mr. Chair, anyone po from the National Union of People's Lawyers, nasili po ba natin yung details related dun sa search warrant na inisyo din sa ginawa kay Manny Asuncion, at ano po yung mga observations natin, kasi nga merong pattern na defective yung mga ginagamit na search warrant. Ganon din ba yung na-observe dun sa search warrant na ginamit sa case ni Manny Asuncion?
Yung search warrant na binabanggit nila ng pulis ay search warrant para dun sa residence ng mag-asawa ni Manny Asuncion at ni Lizelle na matatagpuan sa Rosario. Ngunit si Manny Asuncion ay pinatay sa Dasmariñas, Cavite sa opisina ng WAC, no? Workers Assistance Center. Yung address ng search warrant na sinabi na pinakita ng pulis, ang address ay sa Rosario, Cavite, dun sa residensya nila. No? Ngayon, para ma-justify yung pagpatay kay Manny Asuncion, pagkatapos ng search na ginawa nila dun sa bahay nila, pinalabas ng mga pulis sa unang press release nila na nagkaroon ng na nakatakas si Manny Asuncion mula dun sa residente niya, papunta dun sa bahay, papunta dun sa opisina ng WAC, at nagkaroon ng parang kabulan. Kaya dun siya inabot. Pero sa totoo lang, yung mag-asawa ay natutulog dun sa Dasmariñas, Cavite nung pinasok yon. Tapos pagkatapos nung unang narrative na gano'n na nagkaroon ng kabulan, naalaman ng pulis na meron palang search warrant na in-issue para dun sa WAC office. Saka lang nila sinabing may sinagawang search warrant sa na nagresulta dun sa pagpatay kay Manny Asuncion. Bali, yun yung nakitang diferensya dun sa sa search warrant.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, dahil nandito din po ang representative from NBI, since sa pagkakaalam po natin ay na-i-refer din ang case na ito sa National Bureau of Investigation. Mari po bang maibahagi briefly dito sa Quadcom, ano po yung mga naging major findings or actions na ginawa ng NBI at that time related po dito?
After that, Congressman Manuel, you still have 1 more minute.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, Mr. Chair. So we conducted and concluded our investigation, and we filed the appropriate cases against the 17 CIDJ officers. Based on our investigation, there was conclusive evidence to and probable cause to file charges against them, Mr. Chair.
Salamat, Mr. Chair. So, huling tanong na lang, Mr. Chair, kay Ma'am Lizelle Asuncion. Maaari niyo po bang ma-describe, kasi napakasayang po ng bawat buhay na napapatay sa ilalim ng extrajudicial killings, lalo pat nakita natin yung patterns, whether war on drugs man o war on dissent. Ano po ba yung mga ginagawa ni Manny Asuncion bago po siya napatay? Sige po, Mari po from Karapatan, kung na part din po ng ating mga records, so far based sa profile ni Manny Asuncion, ano po ba yung kanyang mga activities or affiliations?
Well, trade union leader po si Manny Asuncion, and tumutulong po siya sa buong Cavite. In fact, kilala po siya ni Justice Secretary Remulla, no, dahil galing po siya sa Cavite, kilala siyang leader manggagawa po doon sa pag-organisa po ng mga manggagawa sa Timog Katagalugan. Actually, Mr. Chair, ang kasong ito ay inimbestigahan din ng Commission on Human Rights, no, at meron din silang findings tungkol dito, lalo na sa deprivation of life ng mga victims ng Bloody Sunday, kabilang si Kamani. At syempre, nadidismaya po kami dahil nga po dinismiss ng Department of Justice yung kasong ito despite recommendations from the NBI at despite the recommendations din po ng Commission on Human Rights. Mainam po kung nandito yung DOJ representative ay ma-inquire din po ito.
With that, Mr. Chair, nagpapasalamat po tayo sa ating mga resource persons. Kabilang na po si Ma'am Lizelle Asuncion. Nakita po natin mabigat na mapag-usapan yung ganito mga bagay, pero kinikilala po natin yung tapang at ang persistence po ng ating mga kamag-anak na patuloy pa ring exhaust yung iba't ibang pamamaraan para talaga ma-pursue yung justice para sa kanilang mga kamag-anak. Mr. Chair, nakita natin yung similar na modus operandi sa mga extrajudicial killings, mapa war on drugs man o mapa war on dissent, ang pag-profile ng mga biktima, yung pag-issue ng mga bogus na mga warrants, yung pagtatinim ng ebidensya, yung paggamit ng nanlaban na justification para sa ganito mga patayan, pati yung mga ineffective na mga ginawang investigasyon dati, Mr. Chair. Kawawa yung mga walang kalaban-laban na mga kababayan natin, wrongly accused, no, ng mga whether involvement sa drug trade o yung mga activists dito sa ating bansa na inalay yung kanilang buhay para magsilbi sa mga iba ring inaapi at pinagsasamantalahan. Kaya nararapat lamang, Mr. Chair, na ma-pursue talaga natin itong pagsuporta sa mga pamilya ng mga biktima at maging yung pag-prosecute sa mga principal ng parehong war on drugs tsaka war on dissent na nagdulot ng mga extrajudicial killings. Kasama sina Deboldina, sina Lito Patay, sina incumbent Senator, former PNP Chief Bato de la Rosa at mismo yung dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte. Yun lamang, Mr. Chair. Maraming salamat.
Thank you, Congressman
Mr. Chair.
Manuel. Yes, is this a manifestation,
Yes,
Congresswoman
Mr.
Rosa?
Chair.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, actually, this will be a motion, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
No? Mr. Chair, kasi pinag-usapan natin dito yung war on dissent, war on drugs, connection sa war on dissent. Ngayon, Mr. Chair, we have questions, syempre, doon sa mga police operatives, Mr. Chair. I believe hindi natin sila naimbitahan dahil hindi pa naman natin alam. This is in preparation for the next series of hearings by January, Mr. Chair. I would like to siguro invite natin yung mga lalo na yung implementing team nung Evangelista case, yung police operatives niyan, yung investigators, yung I have questions Mr. Chair dyan sa mga particular na na yan mga operatives, yung ranking of police officials involved, yung investigating documentation team involved, sa, particular kay Manny Ascension, yung implementing team nito, yung Dasmariñas Cavite team, saka yung Rosario Cavite team na mga nandyan. We will siguro, Mr. Chair, yung list ay mahaba. We will give you yung list ng mga pwede nating i-invite, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
I would like to move, Mr. Chair, to make a motion that these police officials be invited, Mr. Chair. Siguro banggitin ko yung ilan sa mga kailangan. Kasi dito si PNP Chief Guillermo Alazar Bato and the Bodsinas, of course. PB Gen Felipe Natividad, Ground Commander Supervisor. Colonel Lito Patay. Major Warren C. Delim. Lieutenant Colonel Jacinto R. Malinaw Jr. Lieutenant Colonel Armelina S. Manalo, Mr. Chair. Siguro yun. Tapos yung the rest of the names, i-submit na lang namin, Mr. Chair.
Yes, kindly submit those names so that we will include them in the next
Yes.
in the next Quadcom hearing.
So move, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. There's a motion, as stated, to invite the following personalities, where in the list will be submitted to the committee secretariat, and the personalities to be invited in the next scheduled Quadcom hearings. Any second? Duly seconded. Any objections? Hearing none, the motion is approved. So maraming salamat. At doon po sa mga namatayan, kami po'y nakikiramay sa inyong pamilya. So we will now proceed with Congresswoman Luistro. You've been waving earlier. So
Thank you,
I now
Mr.
recognize you have 15 minutes.
Mr. Chair, my questions is for Ms. Smoking. But before I proceed to her, I just want to state for the record that the National Bureau of Investigation manifested their initiative to bring along the agent on case to shed light on the investigation that happened pertaining to the late Britannico. And I hope the same is true with respect to the handling prosecutor. However, Mr. Chair, I'm leaving this up to the chairman whether these officials from NBI and DOJ will be invited. Nevertheless, Mr. Chair, I wish to state for the record the reason why this representation raised those questions. Ako po'y nanghihinayang because based on the story of the brother, Corporal Joven was so cooperative and even admitting having killed those 5 victims. So it really raised a lot of questions. What happened in the investigation? Why was it not pursued during the preliminary investigation? I wish to commend the NBI and the DOJ for taking that initiative to shed light on what happened on the investigation. Nonetheless, Mr. Chair, I'm leaving it up to the chairman of the Quadcom whether to invite those officials or otherwise.
That's noted.
If I may proceed, Mr. Chair.
Please proceed.
Ms. Mocking,
Yes, Mr. Chair.
is it okay that I address you as Ms. Mocking?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And I understand earlier during the interpellation of Chairman Barbers, you confirmed already that you are the same Ms. Mocking who used to work in Malacanang during the time of the former president. Tama po ba ito?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Can you please enlighten us? Kailan po kayo dumating sa Malacanang?
July 1, 2016.
July 1, 2016. And can you please state for the record, ano pong position nyo dun sa Malacanang?
Nung July 1, 2016 until August 31 of 2016, supervising administrative officer pa lang po ako noon. Then starting September po, naging ASEC na po.
And can you please tell the committee, until when did you stay and work in Malacanang?
Until June of 2022, Mr. Chair.
Would you agree with me if I would say that during the entire term of the former president, you were working in Malacanang?
That's right, Mr. Chair.
And can you please tell us, who was your immediate superior during that time? Kanino po kayo nagre-report and under whose instruction do you do your task?
From July 1 of 2016 until September of 2018, from the then SAP Senator Bongo, and from October 1, 2018 until June of 2022 under Yusek Melchor Kitain, Mr. Chair.
Yusek Kitain.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Prior to your appointment in Malacanang back in July 2016, for the record, Ms. Mocking, saan po kayo nagtatrabaho?
City Government of Davao, Mr. Chair.
And can you please enlighten us, ano po bang trabaho nyo sa City of Davao?
Supervising Administrative Officer from December of 2015 until June 30 of 2016.
You were saying 2015 to 2016.
That's right, Mr. Chair.
And that is the only inclusive period when you work at the city government
No,
of
Mr. Chair.
Davao.
From 2024 until December of 2015, my item is Community Affairs Officer, Mr. Chair, under the City Government of Davao.
Can you please state that again? From
From 2024 until 2015, Community Affairs Officer.
how did it happen? 2024 to 2015.
Pardon, Mr. Chair.
All right. You said 2015, 2016, you work in Malacanang, and then I asked,
2015 to 2016, City Government of Davao.
correct, City Government of Davao.
That's right, Mr. Chair.
Aside from this inclusive period, may pagkakataon pa po bang nagtrabaho din kay sa City Government of Davao?
Yes, Mr. Chair. 2004 until 2015, City Government of Davao, Mr. Chair.
You said 2015, 2016, you work in Malacanang, and then I asked,
2015 to 2016, City Government of Davao.
correct, City Government of Davao.
That's right, Mr. Chair.
Aside from this inclusive period, may pagkakataon pa po bang nagtrabaho din kay sa City Government of Davao?
Yes, Mr. Chair. 2004 until 2015, City Government of Davao, Mr. Chair. But
Can you-
of different item.
And then recently, you also made representation that currently you are working in Davao.
That's right, Mr. Chair.
What is your work or position in Davao right now?
Supervising Administrative Officer, Mr. Chair.
When did you start?
July 2022
July 20.
and at present, up to the present.
Tama po bang sabihin, Ms. Mocking, given this period of time, 2015 to 2016, and then you have 2004 to 2015, and then you have July 2022 up to the present, plus the Malacanang in 2016 to 2022. All those periods, you were working for the Duterte family.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And kanina po sinabi nyo, when you were in Malacanang, your immediate superior was Senator Bongo and Yusek Kitain.
Yes,
Later
Mr.
on.
Chair.
How about during the time that you were in the city of Davao? Let's start with 2004 to 2015. Sino po immediate superior nyo?
The Chief of Staff of the City Mayor's Office.
So in other words, you were reporting to the city mayor,
The Chief of Staff, Mr.
the
Chair.
chief of staff. So you work under the city mayor also.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And may we know who was the city mayor during that time?
Mayor Rudy Duterte, Mr. Chair.
The former president.
Yes, Mr.
How
Chair.
about from 2015 to 2016?
2000? Yes, Mr. Chair.
Who was your immediate superior?
The Chief of Staff, Mr. Chair.
The COS. Who was the mayor during this time?
Rodrigo Duterte, Mr. Chair.
The same. And from July, just for the record, Ms. Mocking, July 2022 up to the present, to whom are you reporting at the city government of Davao?
Chief of Staff, Mr. Chair.
COS. Will you agree with me if I would say that if you're reporting to the COS, it is as if you're reporting also to the LCE, the local chief executive? Or if I may rephrase my question, both the COS and yourself are working under the local chief executive.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Tama po bang sabihin, Ms. Mocking? Because of course it is a common knowledge how associated the senator is to the former president. I'm referring to Senator Bongo. Perhaps Senator Bongo is one of the most trusted people of the former president. Tama po ba?
I cannot speak in behalf of the President, Mr. Chair.
All right. But at least he is one of the people who have been working with the president so closely since the time that he was the mayor.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Tama. Okay. Tama po bang sabihin, Ms. Mocking, na kayo po ay labis na pinagtitiwalaan ng Duterte family and even Senator Bongo, reason why since 2004 up to the present, ang trabaho po nyo umiikot lang kay Senator Bongo at sa Duterte family?
Could you repeat the question, Mr. Chair?
Tama po bang sabihin na kayo po'y labis na pinagtitiwalaan ni Senator Bongo at ng Duterte family, reason kung bakit simula po 2004 up to the present, ang trabaho po nyo umiikot lang kay Senator Bongo at sa Duterte family?
I cannot answer the question, Mr. Chair, in behalf of Senator Bongo and the former President.
I understand.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Can you please enlighten us, Ms. Mocking? Paano nyo po nakilala si Senator Bongo? Are you from Davao also?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Born and raised?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
All right. Please enlighten us. Paano po nyo nakilala si Senator Bongo?
Nung nag-work po ako sa City Government of Davao, dun ko lang po siya nakilala, Mr. Chair.
And I wish to believe that since you started working in the city of Davao 2004, perhaps you started to earn the trust of Senator Bongo. Why until now, you continue to work within the same network of the Duterte family. That is a manifestation. You don't need to answer that. How about President Duterte? Kailan niyo po siya nag-umpisang makilala? Was it during the time you started working at the city of Davao or even prior to that?
Since 2004, Mr. Chair, when I started working with the City Government of
In
Davao.
other words, the reason why you came across Senator Bongo and the former president is because you worked in Davao City. There was no prior encounter before the work in Davao City.
No, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Ms. Mocking, I understand that For it is a common knowledge during the time of the former president, no, na kapag may gustong lumapit kay Senator Bongo, there were people na kayo po ang ina-approach, kayo ang nire-reach out, and apparently, may mga tao po kayong natulungan.
Probably, Mr. Chair.
As a matter of fact, we have a slide here which shows the gratitude that he wishes to express because of the help that you extended in giving him the chance to see and talk to Senator Bongo. Tama po ba yun? Kayo po'y nagiging tulay papunta kay Senator Bongo?
Minsan-minsan, Mr. Chair, pag meron pong lumalapit.
Sa 100 po bang lumapit sa inyo, gustong makausap si Senator Bongo, humingi ng tulong, yun po ba'y tinulungan nyo lahat o ilan po ba dun sa 100 sa tingin nyo ang natulungan nyo?
As much as possible, Mr. Chair, hinahanapan po talaga ng paraan na matulungan.
In other words, I wish to submit that every time there are people who approach you seeking the help of the senator, you really do what you can to solicit the help that is necessary for those people. Tama po, Ms. Mocking?
Mr. Chair, I would like to clarify from what period po yung pinag-uusapan natin, Mr. Chair.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. I am referring to the time that you are already working in Malacanang.
From July 2016 to
Yes.
September of 2018.
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Ginagawa mo lahat para makatulong sa tao.
Mostly, Mr. Chair, kasi kami po yung in charge sa mga social services like medical assistance and burial assistance and other services po.
There are informations that you worked also as Assistant Secretary to the Secretary of Finance under the Office of Special Assistant to the President. Tama po ba yun?
No, Mr. Chair.
So what particular job did you undertake under the Office of Senator Bongo?
Office of the Special Assistant to the President, Mr. Chair.
It has nothing to do with finance.
No, Mr. Chair.
So you were the Assistant Secretary
Yes, Mr. Chair.
to the Special Assistant to the President. Tama po?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And can you please enlighten us, ano po ba ang trabaho ng isang Assistant Secretary?
Under the Office of the Special Assistant to the President, Mr. Chair, mostly our work revolve around administrative matters, clerical works, errands, social services, and mechanical jobs, Mr. Chair.
And there are informations also, Ms. Mocking, that during this time, kayo po'y nalagay sa secondment. Ano po bang ibig sabihin ng secondment?
Secondment, Mr. Chair, is the temporary transfer of position of an employee from one unit to the other, Mr. Chair.
And that is while maintaining your job and title under the Special Assistant to the President's Office. Tama po ba yun?
Actually, Mr. Chair, my secondment is between the city government of Davao and the Office of the President.
Oh, it's not in Malacanang.
No, Mr. Chair.
All right. So ano po yung naging trabaho nyo dun sa City of Davao under the concept of secondment?
Mr. Chair, my secondment is with the Office of the President.
Office of the President.
Yes, from the city government of Davao to the Office of the President. So it is an agreement between the Office of the President and the city government of Davao.
Wait, with all due respect, ang sabi niyo po kanina, kayo ay nasa ilalim ng Special Assistant to the President's Office.
That's
Tama
right,
po
Mr.
ba?
Chair. Opo.
And during that time, nalagay po kayo sa secondment?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And that secondment pertains to another job under the office of the President?
No, Mr. Chair. It is a secondment between the city government of Davao and the office of the President. So my item, Mr. Chair, is with the city government of Davao. Then I was seconded to the office of the President.
Can you please further elaborate, Ms. Mocking, no? Kasi during this time, kayo po ay under ng SAP. Tama po ba?
Yes, Mr. Chair, starting September of 2016
Until
June of 2022.
until June of 2022. Ibig sabihin ng item nyo po nasa SAP.
No, Mr. Chair, the item is under office of the President.
Under the office of the President.
Yes, but the office where I am reporting is with the office of the Special Assistant to the President.
So alin po yung secondment na tinutukoy nyo?
The agreement is between the city government of Davao, wherein the office of the President requested the city government of Davao that I will undergo the secondment. So the office of the President requested the city government of Davao that I will be admitted to the office of the President.
Is it not that the item is under the OP?
Actually, Mr. Chair, if we are talking about the secondment, it is an agreement between the employee and the office and the position where you will be admitted.
Yes, but you were saying a while ago, ang item nyo ay nasa OP, ang trabaho nyo ay nasa SAP.
Tama po, Mr. Chair. Kasi po, pag naka-secondment ka po, Mr. Chair, iiwanan nyo po yung item nyo po sa City Government of Davao. Kasi po, may agreement na po si Office of the President and si City Government of Davao na parang hihiramin ka po.
So what you wanted to tell us is, even prior to your item under OP, ay may item kayo sa LGU Davao.
That's right, Mr. Chair.
Ipinahiram kayo sa OP.
That's right, Mr. Chair.
All right. Is that really possible?
Meron pong civil service. I
Mr.
believe
Chair.
the civil service can
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, I am yielding to Chairman Ako.
That's possible under the civil service rule. But I do not know if it is for an extended period. What I can remember is that it is only good for 1 year, renewable.
That's right, Mr. Chair. My appointment is being renewed every 2 years. So from
Ang item niya ay sa Davao. Pinahiram siya ng Davao City Government sa Office of the President. Pero may limit yan according to the Civil Service Law. For 2 years.
That's right, Mr.
Renewable.
Chair. So every 2 years po yung renewal, Mr. Chair.
Ms. Mocking, can you please enlighten us? When there are a lot of items available in Malacanang, why do you have to resort to this secondment that your item is in Davao, that you will be discharging your work under OP? Pwede namang dun po kayo kumuha ng item sa OP.
Actually, Mr. Chair, yung secondment kasi is ang position po ang mababago.
Not the item.
Not the item. You will leave your item under the city government of Davao. So as soon as you assume the position under the receiving agency, so you will now be acquiring the new item that is allotted by the receiving agency. So your parent agency will take hold of your original item.
Para maklaro po, no?
Yes, Congressman Adjong.
So, your item, pinahiram ka sa Malacanang kasi this is what happens also in the BARM. So, I'm familiar with secondment. But you does not mean that you altogether left, di ba, your position.
That's right, Mr. Chair.
Position mo pa rin sa Davao, hiniram ka rin sa Malacanang, but you're not getting salary from your original principal unit, no?
Yes, you will not be getting
Yes, you'll
the
not be
salary
getting the
from the
salary.
parent agency.
Exactly. But you are not also vacating the position, your prior position in Davao. Hiniram ka lang doon, tapos depende yun doon sa humiram sa'yo kung i-renew ka niya. Kung hindi ka niya i-renew, babalik ka doon sa Davao. Di ba tama yun?
Tama po, Mr.
Ganun,
Chair.
ganun.
Please proceed, Congresswoman Luis.
Ms. Mocking, during
Yes,
your stint in Malacanang, that is 2016 to 2022, of course, you've encountered a lot of people close or within the network of the former president. Tama po ba?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
That includes Colonel Garma. Yes, Ms. Mocking.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Can you please enlighten us? How frequent do you actually meet with Colonel Garma during that time?
I saw her once or twice, Mr. Chair, in Malacanang.
Once
Or twice.
or twice only?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And there was no other encounter at all?
Actually, Mr. Chair, since na-appoint po si Colonel Garma sa PCSO, we have referred patients para po ma-extend yung kanilang assistance sa office of, sa PCSO po.
So, in line in connection with that concern, referring patients to PCSO, do you meet and talk with Colonel Garma during that time that he was already at PCSO?
I call her, Mr. Chair.
So how frequent do you talk, if I may ask? I believe that was 2018.
Once or twice, Mr. Chair, because she referred me already to one of her staff. Every time merong referral para hindi ko na po siya ma-disturb.
Prior to her appointment at PCSO, you said a while ago na once or twice mo rin na-meet si Colonel Garma?
In Malacanang.
In Malacanang.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Can you please tell us what concern does Colonel Garma have during that time when you encountered her in Malacanang?
Actually, Mr. Chair, umakyat lang talaga siya doon sa office namin and marami din po, almost all of our staff, Mr. Chair, are from Davao. We're from Davao. So parang meron na din po siyang mga nakita at kakilala doon, tapos meron din pong mga nagpa-picture sa kanya kasi nga po na-appoint siya sa PCSO.
So it is just because of the appointment, the reason why she was there?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
With all due respect to the personalities that I will be mentioning, Ms. Mocking, but if you are following the investigation, there have been allegations about the reward system of the war on drugs. You're aware of this?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And Senator Bongo is always being implicated every time the reward system is being mentioned. You're also aware of this?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay. As one of the people who work in Malacanang during the time of FPRRD, can you please enlighten us? Ano po bang nalalaman nyo dito sa reward system at ano po bang nalalaman nyo about the possible connection of Senator Bongo, if there is any?
I have no knowledge actually, Mr. Chair, about the reward system that is going on within Malacanang, Mr. Chair.
And if you have no knowledge about the reward system of the war on drugs, the more reason that you have no knowledge about Senator Bongo's implication to this reward system.
That's right, Mr. Chair.
But are you aware that there was public pronouncement already coming from another senator, Senator Bato de la Rosa, confirming that even during the time of the former president as mayor of Davao, namimigay na po ng pera si Senator Bongo? What can you say about this?
I have no knowledge of Senator Bongo releasing money po, Mr. Chair.
I understand. Just for the information of the committee, Secretary, can we please flash that poster from the social media where Senator Bongo made this comment that even during the time of the former president in Malacanang, namimigay na ng pera si Senator Bongo. Nevertheless, would you know Ms. Mocking?
Pwede pagkalaki. Obsec.
Oh, this is the picture of the person who received help from Senator Bongo through Ms. Mocking. Can you confirm that, Ms. Mocking? One of the several people you helped.
Actually, Mr. Chair, this person is one of my relatives.
So you confirm that he received help from Senator Bongo through you?
Actually, hindi po ako nagbigay sa kanya ng help, Mr. Chair.
About the senator? He's saying, thank you very much and God bless you more.
Baka, I really don't know, Mr. Chair, pero baka related po siguro sa mga services po ni Senator Bongo under his office.
All right. Secretariat, can we please flash the next slide? The one with the public pronouncement. There. Ang sabi po dito, Ms. Mocking, namimigay naman talaga ng pera si Bongo. Inutusan niya ni President Duterte noon pa. Sa Davao pa kami.
I have no knowledge about that, Mr. Chair.
But can you please enlighten us at least? Ano po ba yung perang tinutukoy ni Senator Bongo dito? Would you know if this is the reward system which is being alleged in relation to the war on drugs?
Hindi ko po alam, Mr. Chair. Wala po ako, hindi po siya familiar sa akin, Mr. Chair.
Would you know if this is operational fund of the PNP?
Actually, Mr. Chair, hindi po kasi ako privy sa mga police operations and kaya hindi po ako familiar dito sa sinasabi na.
Yes, I understand. But since you work at the office of the mayor, I'm trying to elicit information if there are chances or incidents when you encountered similar concerns. So, nung naririto po ang dating Pangulo, he was saying walang panggasolina ang mga pulis, kaya namimigay siya ng pera, if my recollection is correct. Hindi po kaya itong perang tinutukoy ni Senator Bongo ay yung tinutukoy ng dating Pangulong panggasolina ng mga pulis?
Actually, Mr. Chair, i-relate ko lang po ito doon sa naging question din po sa Senate hearing. Ang gasolina po na sinasabi po ni former President was yung binibigay po namin na parang PO slip para po sa mga police precinct. Parang isa din po yun sa support na binibigay ni former President.
By PO, it means purchase order.
Purchase slip.
Purchase slip.
Yes.
So, bibigyan mo siya ng slip para tatakbo na lang ang pulis sa gasolinahan.
Yan po yung style doon, Mr. Chair.
And would you know, Ms. Mocking, kasi napakagastos ng police operation, bukod dito sa panggasolina, ano pa po ba ang assistance na ibinibigay ng ating dating Pangulo sa police operations?
Sa Davao term ito, Mr. Chair.
Davao.
Usually, Mr. Chair, yung mga precinct commanders, gumagawa sila ng letter request addressed to the mayor.
Precinct commanders. Yes.
Yes, gumagawa sila ng...
So, what is this request all about?
Like, support, Mr. Chair, aircon, office supplies, normally mga general services po, Mr. Chair.
General services, that's all.
Basically, yun po yung part of our tasking, Mr. Chair, na nag-a-assist po kami sa mga police and other offices po, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Ms. Mocking, do you know Rizalina Hustol?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Who is she? For the enlightenment of the committee.
Sa City Government of Davao, Mr. Chair. She was our city accountant.
She used to be the chief accountant of Davao City LGU. Tama po?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
When was this?
Nung 2004 po na working na po ako sa City Hall, sa pagkakaalam ko po, City Accountant na po si Ma'am Rizalina
O
Hustol.
baka nauna pa sa'yo?
Yes, I believe.
Okay. So, I understand that similar to you, si Ms. Hustol ay nagtrabaho din sa Malacanang. Do you confirm this?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Ano pong trabaho niya sa Malacanang and when did she start?
I believe na una din po sa akin, Mr. Chair. So parang,
July ka na eh. June 30 lang nag-a-assume.
actually, Mr. Chair, bali, mas, una, baka magkasabay. Baka magkasabay.
July 2016 also. And after some time, Ms. Mocking, would you confirm she was appointed as Commission on Audit Chairperson?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Can you please tell us when?
I do not know, Mr. Chair. I do not know the exact date, Mr. Chair.
Can you please at least tell us the year?
2022? I really don't know, Mr. Chair.
All right. But at least you confirmed that she was appointed as COA chairperson. Given this facts, Mr. Chair, I wish to manifest that similar to Ms. Mocking, Rizalina Hustol was able to earn also utmost trust and confidence of the Duterte family, including the people close to the former president. Reason why, from being the chief accountant of Davao, he was even appointed as executive secretary for finance and administration of OP. Tama ba, Ms. Mocking?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And ultimately, she was appointed as COA chairperson, which I believe is one of the most, or one of the highest possible positions one can get in the Philippine government. Ano po bang trabaho ng isang chief accountant? Let's go back to Davao.
Hindi ko po masyadong alam kung anong specific trabaho po ng City Accountant, Mr. Chair.
But at least would you confirm, alam po niya lahat ng pumapasok na pera, lahat ng lumalabas na pera?
Probably, Mr. Chair.
And that includes the confidential fund of the LGU Davao.
Probably, Mr. Chair.
Ano po bang trabaho ng Executive Secretary for Finance and Administration?
I believe, Mr. Chair, is more on finance also, Mr. Chair.
So, I am inclined to believe na alam din po niya ang budget ng OP during the time of the former president and even the expenditures of the office of the president. Tama po ba?
Probably, Mr. Chair.
And of course, you understand the mandate of COA, having worked in the government for so long a time. What do you understand about the work of Rizalina Hustol in the Commission on Audit?
Sorry, Mr. Chair, hindi ko po.
But of course, you will agree with me. They check, they evaluate, they see whether the expenditures were compliant with the rules of the Commission on Audit.
Probably, Mr. Chair.
You work in Malacanang.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Was there any point in time na naka-encounter po kayo ng questions, controversies, notice of disallowances ng OP during her time as COA chairperson?
Hindi po ako familiar, Mr. Chair.
All right, Mr. Chair, I think I am done with Ms. Mocking. Thank you, Ms. Mocking.
Welcome, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Congresswoman Luis. Just a short clarification lang kay Ms. Mocking. Ms. Mocking, do you know Colonel Garma?
Professionally, Mr. Chair, yes.
And why do you say professionally? Anong difference nun sa sa trabaho lang kayo nagkikita?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
So that's what professionally means.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay, but outside of the profession, hindi ba kayo nagkakasama, nagkakakwentuhan?
Never, Mr. Chair.
Never. So, how did you know si Colonel Garma?
Si Colonel Garma lang po ang
precinct commander sa Davao City na babae. So
that's
hindi
why,
so kilala talaga siya.
That's why kilala siya because
Yes,
she's the
Mr. Chair.
only
Girl among the 12 precinct commanders of Davao City.
Okay. So, ano, more or less, mga ilang taon na kayo magkakilala ni Colonel Garma?
Parang I don't know kung kailan siya napasok sa Davao City po. Nakilala ko lang talaga siya, Mr. Chair. Pasensya na po. Kasi makulit siya, Mr. Chair.
Makulit.
Opo.
Makulit dahil, ikaw ba ang kinukulit?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Bakit ikaw ang kinukulit? Ito ay kasama sa professional relationship.
Yes,
ninyo.
Mr. Chair. Very professional.
So, paano kanya kinukulit, Miss Mookie?
Meron kasing request, as I have mentioned earlier, yung mga precinct commander para sa support from the city government of Davao. Tapos, one of those requests is care of kay Colonel Garma, which is the repair of her office. And kasi po, di ba po, meron naman pong process ang government pag meron kang request. So you have to go through po yung sa general services, meron pa po yung purchase order, purchase request. Kinikulit niya po kami doon sa mga aircon niya na request, mga TV, and other supplies. So kaya namin siya kilala, Mr. Chair.
So in relation to her, parang financial request yan, di ba? Funding request.
No, not funding, Mr. Chair, but office equipment and office supplies.
Yeah, but she requests your office to provide her with funds to purchase
No, item. It's an equipment.
so yung item kayo,
No cash, no
so
funds.
kayo bumibili and then you provide them with the items.
Pinoprocess po yan ng City General Services.
Granting for the sake of argument that it has already been processed, you have the item with you, that is what you provide.
That's right, Mr. Chair.
That is to answer yung kanyang request.
That's right, Mr.
So
Chair.
yun ang kanyang, kaya mo nasabing makulit siya dahil follow-up siya ng follow-up.
Hindi po humihinto, Mr. Chair.
So hindi humihinto.
Yes, Mr.
So,
Chair.
Parang, the way I picture it, parang sobrang kulit niya. Tama ba yun?
Actually, Mr. Chair.
Now, that is the only request, yung kanyang sa office niya.
As far as I can remember, Mr. Chair, yun lang po ang ma-recall ko kay
Did
Colonel.
she ever request from you? At ikaw lang ang kinakausap niya?
Actually, Mr. Chair, hindi naman po talaga ako lang. So,
Sino pa kaya ang kinakausap?
forward ko po yung staff niya sa City General Services Office para makafocus din po ako sa ibang task.
Okay. So you seem to have several tasks under the LGU, no? LGU ba yan?
Mostly administrative, Mr. Chair.
Okay. And who do you report directly? Who is your immediate superior?
The Chief of Staff, Mr. Chair.
And that is?
Actually, from 2004 to 2016, we have several Chief of Staff.
Several Chief of Staff?
Yes, every term po. Parang, yes.
Okay. So, lahat ba ng police precinct commander, kapag merong request, ay sa iyo dumadaan?
Actually, Mr. Chair, pinoprocess siya doon sa reception area namin. Tapos, parang part of my task is tagapukpok po ng mga opisina kung saan po sila may request.
Okay. Have you read the affidavit submitted by Colonel Garma to the Quad Committee?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And doon sa kanyang affidavit, nabanggit niya na your name was implicated doon sa punto na ikaw ang nagre-release ng operational funds. Is that correct?
No, Mr. Chair.
So hindi totoong nagre-release ka ng pondo?
Hindi po, Mr. Chair.
So why do you think Colonel Garma would say that?
I cannot answer in behalf of Colonel Garma, Mr. Chair.
Just make a wild guess. What do you think is the reason why Colonel Garma would specifically mention your name, mention your name as the one in charge of releasing funds for the successful operation of the war on drugs? Bakit ikaw? Meron ka pang ibang kasama sa office, correct?
Guess ko lang po,
Oh,
Mr.
yeah,
Chair.
just a guess. Sa tingin mo?
Baka gusto niya lang po akong i-connect. Kasi po, from the city government of Davao to OP. Parang ako siguro yung nakikita niyang linyada. Guess ko lang po.
Okay, so linyada kay President, former President.
Probably, Mr. Chair.
Okay. So do you directly report to the former President?
No, Mr. Chair.
To whom do you directly report?
From, as I have said earlier, Mr. Chair, from 2016 to 2018, to then SAP, Senator Bongo, then from 2018 to 2022, Yusek Melchor Kitain, Mr. Chair.
Okay, so dito muna, nung ASEC ka kay SAP, former SAP, now Senator Bongo.
That's right, Mr. Chair.
Can you give us, or at least educate us, ano ang iyong work sa office ng SAP? Specifically kay Senator Bongo.
As I have said earlier, Mr. Chair, it's mostly administrative, clerical, errands, social services, and mechanical works.
What about appointments?
That's part of the...
Social.
No, Mr. Chair, that's part of the admin.
So admin yun.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
So halimbawa, merong gusto makipag-usap ni Congressman Adjong kay SAP Bongo, si Congressman Adjong will call you and schedule.
I believe hindi niya ako tatawagan kasi hindi niya ako kilala, Mr. Chair.
But where does a member of Congress who would like to see SAP Bongo request an appointment?
Actually, si SAP Bongo kasi, Mr. Chair, is madaling malapitan. So, lahat ata ng congressman, I believe, direct na nagtitext sa kanya and direct din po siyang sumasagot.
Lahat?
Almost all. As
Okay.
far as I know, Mr. Chair.
Just to make it clear, ako ba nakita mo ako? Lumapit ba ako sa'yo?
Hindi, Mr. Chair. But I believe, Mr. Chair, parang nautusan ako before to reach out sa inyo.
Sa akin?
Pero hindi mo nyo lang po ako ata sinagot.
So hindi tayo nagkausap.
Hindi po, Mr. Chair.
So it is very clear that it is not I who reach out to her, but it is Miss Muking who reach out to me. May I know kung bakit?
Para ata yung i-clarify yung parang may request sa office, Mr. Chair. Ang gusto lang namin mostly kasi, Mr. Chair, pag may pumapasok na request sa office, gina-clarify po talaga namin kung what's your priority among your requests.
You mean request na mga projects?
Part of it, Mr. Chair.
You know, I've been in Congress for more than 20 years, and I don't remember requesting from your office any project. Just for the record,
Mr.
Ms.
Chair,
Muking.
I did not specifically say that it is a project, but probably because I really cannot recall anymore.
So, ibig mong sabihin, kapag ikaw inuutusan to reach out to a certain congressman, it is because of a project or a request.
Hindi po lahat, Mr. Chair.
So,
kasi,
other than projects and other requests, you also seek or reach out certain congressman upon the instruction of the former SAP.
yes, at that time, yung
And
siya pa
normally,
yung...
what other reasons did the former SAP instruct you to do aside from following up request of certain congressmen?
Most of the time, Mr. Chair, mga medical assistants.
And that is very clear. Kasi ako, hindi naman ako humingi ng medical assistance sa inyo.
Yes, Mr.
Diba?
Chair.
So, do you
Mr.
know a
Chair?
certain Peter?
Yeah, just to
Yes,
set the
Con-
record straight,
yes, Congressman Adjong.
para hindi ho tayo magkaliwanagan. You mean to say, Congressman, during the presidency of Digong, the former President Duterte,
Yes po.
when you were in Malacanang.
Yes, Mr.
Okay,
Chair.
just to set the record straight, because we're talking about now the 19th Congress. Have I ever called you?
Actually, Mr. Chair, nakalimutan ko na po talaga kung sino din yung pong nakakausap.
Yeah, because I was not part of Congress last. This is my first term.
So kaya nga, Mr. Chair, I cannot recall.
Just set the record straight. Ah.
Yes,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Chair.
Mr. Chair, short interjection lang din po kay Ms. Smoking.
Oh, sige, okay. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Kasi natanong po kanina, dahil nga napangalanan po si Ms. Smoking sa affidavit ni Colonel Garma na meron daw alias Smoking na taga-disburse ng rewards under the drug war at ito po ay dinedeny ni Ms. Muking. To confirm, tama po ba?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay, kaso Mr. Chair, kung dinedeny po ang nasa affidavit ni Colonel Garma, pero aside po kasi kay Colonel Garma, mismo si former President Rodrigo Duterte ay meron pong pinangalan ng alias Smoking din, both sa Senado, tsaka maging dito sa Quadcom, Mr. Chair, based sa questions ng mga mababatas natin in both chambers. So, Mr. Chair, ngayon po itatanong ko, based naman sa sinabi ng dating Pangulo, in-insist pa rin po ba ni Ms. Muking na wala siyang dinidisburse na pera in relation to the drug war?
Wala po, Mr. Chair.
Kahit po operational expenses para sa mga pulis na nagpatupad ng drug war?
Wala po talaga, Mr. Chair.
Or rewards sa mga napapatay with varying degrees? Wala rin pong nilalabas na pera?
Wala po talaga, Mr. Chair.
Kung ganun, Mr. Chair, then given na merong directly contradicting na mga sinasabi under oath, on one hand, yung sinabi ni Colonel Garma at ni dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte, and on the other hand, si Ms. Muking, then Mr. Chair, merong at least isa dun sa mga tao na iyon who are lying under oath. And that demands further inquiry and questioning by legislators. Yun lang, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for asking my question, Congressman Manuel. But before we continue, maybe I'd like to say that yung ating pong mga bisita ay you are now excused, Nanay and Mrs. Asuncion. And sana po sa susunod na Quadcom hearing ay makadalo pa rin kayo. Okay, maraming salamat po. Pasensya na po kayo. Inabot po tayo ng... and of course, Dr.
Actually, I have questions to Dr. Raquel Fortun, but if you're already tired... okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Mukhang sanay si Dr. Fortun sa puyatan eh. So, as I was saying earlier, Ms. Muking, do you know a certain Peter Parungo?
No, Mr. Chair.
So you don't know Peter Parungo?
No, Mr. Chair.
Kasi sa affidavit ni Colonel Garma, nabasa mo naman siguro, na binanggit niya na si Peter Parungo, as she termed it, no, is the striker ng CIDG. I don't know what a striker means, but si Congressman Acop educated us as yes, or striker is actually a utility personnel ng CIDG. At siya ang inuutusan. And at one instance, lumapit daw itong si Mr. Peter Parungo kay Colonel Garma at ang sinabi niya ay, Ma'am, masyado na pong malaking pera ang pumapasok sa aking account. If I'm not mistaken, what he was trying to say is that he opened several bank accounts and that is where pumapasok yung pera na apparently ay galing sa'yo upon the instructions of either former SAP, now Senator Bongo, or the former president. So, kung hindi mo kilala si Peter Parungo, paano ka nakakapagbigay ng operational fund assistance sa ating mga kapulisan?
Hindi po ako nagbibigay ng operational fund assistance sa mga kapulisan.
Ang ibig sabihin, hindi tama yung sinabi ni former President Duterte. Dahil sinabi niya, sa hearing niya natin dito, sinabi niya na it is through you na siya na ikaw ang inuutusan na mag-release ng operational fund or reimbursements.
Hindi po through me, Mr. Chair.
So hindi through you.
Hindi po talaga, Mr. Chair.
Sa office niyo, sino kaya?
Wala po sa office namin, Mr. Chair.
Wala
Wala po
sa
kaming
office
funds.
So hindi
Under OSAP, wala po kaming funds.
So hindi ho totoo ang sinasabi ni Mr. President.
I believe, Mr. Chair. Baka, sorry, Mr. Chair, baka merong ibang agency or but not from us, Mr. Chair.
Ilan ba ang muking sa Office of the President?
Ako lang po, Mr. Chair.
So isa lang, ikaw lang.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Are you called by any other name? Napa ba imong lain nga angga?
Muking lang yun, Mr.
Muking
Chair.
lang. Okay, sige, salamat. So, I believe Congressman Keith Flores is the next interpolator. Thank you. I probably ate
Yes.
so much of your time, but this time you will have extra.
No.
Congressman Flores, you have 15 minutes.
I just have a few questions to Muking, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, kasi ang what has been established is that at one point in time, Senator Bato has said that there were reimbursement for operations. The same was also said by the President himself, na may reimbursements silang ginawa to some operations of the police officers. And in both instances, sinasabi nila na it was through you, indirectly through you daw, to Muking, ang reimbursements na expenses. And since there is no other Muking, ikaw lang yung, of course, ang natural first person that would come into mind. But at the same time, it may also be na itong funds that are given for you to dispense may not have been termed as reimbursements or whatever. Pero has there anything like that happened?
Wala po talaga akong funds na ginadispense, Mr.
So
Chair.
you don't give out anything?
Never po, Mr. Chair, kasi hindi po talaga ako naging disbursing officer.
Okay. So but then why would these people say na sa'yo? Yan ang question ko eh. Kasi parang imposible naman na it all refer to you and at the same time, it is not you.
Ay, hindi ko po alam, Mr.
So
Chair.
walang instance na like inutusan ka, bigay mo to kang ano or something like that.
Wala po.
Bayaran mo ang nagastos nila kasi they spent this much.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, wala po talaga, Mr. Chair.
But without reference to like, this is the fund from the drug war, this is to reward them, nothing like that. Walang.
Wala po talaga, Mr. Chair.
So, in the other aspect naman, like yung your function as ASEC before and then USEC, a lot of congressmen, including myself, in the 18th Congress, have reached out to Senator BG for help, no? Lalo na nung COVID, because everyone was really in searching for funds for hospitalization because, di ba, ang nangyari nun is sarado mostly ang mga hospitals because they're converted into COVID centers and napipilitan yung mga citizens to go to private hospitals, which is expensive. And they all come to politicians like congressmen, governors, mayors for help in the medical assistance. No? And this is where usually SAP comes in. No? Parang, he helps out, no? Parang in allocating some... may mga AIP na ba that time?
I believe, Mr. Chair, meron pero hindi pa po siya well-funded.
Hindi pa ganun kalaki.
That's
diba?
right, Mr. Chair.
Or the Malasakit was also started by SAP by that
Yes,
time na.
nakastart na po nun, Mr. Chair.
So, there were instances na some either politicians, governors, mayors, congressmen who would go to SBG for help. Tama?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And SBG who sometimes would also respond either directly or sometimes through you. Di ba?
Referral, Mr. Chair.
Referral,
Kasi,
like,
yes,
let's say,
kasi po hindi na po siya SAP at that time during the COVID.
Senator na.
Senator na po siya, Mr.
So,
Chair.
sabihin niyang, sagutin mo to si ano na okay na yung request or something like that.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Parang nire-refer po kayo sa amin sa OP.
Yeah.
Kasi po si OP po ang may funding, Mr. Chair.
Because this is the first time we met. Tama mo ba?
First time we met pero maraming
But I've known
times
of you,
na po
di ba?
tayong nag-uusap.
Yes, we've already communicated several times in the past. Na?
In the past, Mr.
While you were with the
Office of the
President as ASEC and USEC later on, eventually.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay. But it wasn't that frequent naman, di ba, Muking?
Hindi naman po,
It was,
Mr.
I think, I followed up on some, lalo na yung FLR.
Yes, Mr.
Yung
Chair.
for late release
For
na-
signature of the President.
For signature of the
Yes,
President.
Mr. Chair.
Di ba? And we were all scrambling kasi patapos na yung taon at hindi pa
Hindi pa
napirmahan
siya nalabas.
ni President at that time. So, you were parang siguro an important figure when it comes to the FLR at that time. Or not important. I'll rephrase that. No? Hindi naman important, but you were one of the persons na makakapag-connect with other politicians na nagfa-follow up sa FLR.
Malalaman talaga namin, Mr. Chair, kasi after po evaluation sa Office of the Executive Secretary, inaakyat po siya sa office ng OSAP para po i-prepare namin for the signature of the President. So,
May OSAP pa ba that time?
yes, Mr. Chair, until the end of the term of the...
Sino nga pumalit kay SBG?
Si at Yusek Melchor Kitain po.
Okay. Alright. Yeah, but parang everyone seems to be referring to SBG pa rin as parang SAP. Kasi parang nasanayan na when he was special assistant. And
Kasi
even,
he usually refers to us, Mr. Chair.
so binabato niya sa inyo.
That's right, Mr. Chair.
But under kitain na. at
Yes,
the time.
Mr. Chair.
Okay, that's why a lot of parang politicians and would have had a chance to have talked to you before or something.
Yes,
or communicated with you man lang.
Yes, Mr. Chair, kasi lumalapit sila kay Senator Bong, tapos hindi na din po siya senator, no? Ang ginagawa ni Senator
Ay, hindi
Bong...
siya SAP. Senator na
Ay,
siya.
hindi na po siya SAP noon.
So, binabato sa inyo?
Binabato sa amin, kaya tinatawagan po namin yung nagpapatulong po.
When you say binabato sa inyo as SAP office, Special Assistant to the President Office.
OSAP po, Mr. Chair.
OSAP, but under a different secretary na.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And that is Melchor Kitain na that time.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Ang ano lang talaga dito, Ms. Muking, no, I hope you understand, is the question on why your name was mentioned by the others. Yun lang, even until now, that still remains to be unanswered in my mind, no? Parang even if you gave that explanation, hindi ko lang alam why they would, in one way or another, end up referring to you as the person who supposedly gave the reimbursement.
Given the chance, Mr. Chair, gusto ko din pong itanong po yan, Mr. Chair.
That would be good. Huh? Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Ms. Muking.
Thank you, Congressman Pete Flores. The next to interpolate is Congressman Adyong. have
Thank
10
you,
minutes.
Mr. Chairman. Thank you. I'll be very, very brief with my question because, and thank you, Dr. Raquel Fortun, for staying with us this late. And sorry for holding you. I know you're about to leave na kanina, but I'm just fascinated with the line of work you do. That's why I have several questions I'd like to ask you. Is it correct, ma'am, Dr. Raquel Fortun, that you're one of the few pathologists, forensic pathologists practicing in the Philippines?
There are only two.
There are only
formally trained. So that means you're a pathologist and then you underwent subspecialty training in forensic pathology. And the Philippine Society of Pathologists recognizes only two.
Only two.
In the Philippines.
Okay. And you also teach at the College of Medicine of the University of the Philippines in Manila. Is it correct?
Yes, sir.
You're one
Yes,
of the
Mr.
faculty.
Chair.
Yes. Are you also the current chairperson of the department?
Not anymore. I
Okay.
served my 3 terms from 2016 to June of this year. I
Yeah.
stepped down already.
But prior to, I'll go directly to the gist of my questions po, Doctora, Mr. Chair. Prior to the war on drugs, you were already a trained forensic pathologist, right? Tama po yun?
Yes. Yes, sir. Yes, Mr. Chair.
And during the war on drugs, you were also involved in conducting autopsies on several of the victims. Is it correct, ma'am?
Only those who were referred to me.
Okay.
I
That's why,
managed to see
yeah.
some.
Okay. That's why I'm also interested to know because, Mr. Chair, we only have 2 expert no in the Philippines. I'm wondering why, Mr. Chair, our PNP has had I mean those cases involving EJK, have they reached out to you in trying to solicit your services in order to at least ferret out, for example, in the investigation of cases involving EJK? wala akong nag-avail ng yung professional services ang gobyerno during the war on drugs.
The cases I saw came from families,
Okay.
lawyers, NGOs. The government actually referring, that would be rare. Although recently the Department of Justice has been sending the Bucor cases to me.
Okay, doon po sa na-examine ninyo, those families who went to you and requested for your services. Ito po yung postmortem, di ba may postmortem po na autopsy ginagawa, right?
Yeah, all of them are postmortem.
Yes.
But most, just a few of them, I could still conduct an autopsy. So that means the body is more recently dead.
Okay.
You can still do an external and internal exam. But then many of my cases recently are mostly skeletal remains. These
Okay.
are the exhumations.
Mr. Chair, I would like to ask po, Doktora, kasi the cases of EJK, the usual reasons that we hear from the operatives ay nanlaban, no? So the understanding really is that merong may official or formal operation na gagawin, tapos ang scenario is may baril, nanlaban kaya nabaril. In all of those cases that you have handled, you have conducted autopsy ng EJK, what is the common na nakikita niyo po doon sa mga examination ninyo?